Teen is the theme for this week in movies. We're talking teen drama, coming-of-age story, and a horror comedy movie. Always the funniest genre to me. Rad, our film critic, joins us with a full scoop. Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we're going to start off with a family saga, Suncoast. Let's take a look at the trailer.
You want to be a normal teenager. I got news for you. You're not normal, Doris.
Who's Doris?
I am.
I think this is the right place for him.
You'd say that about any place. My brother's dying. He hasn't talked in years.
I'm so sorry.
She looks so familiar. What have I seen her in before?
I don't know that you've seen her. You probably recognize her mother, Thandie Newton.
Holy
She's like a
moly.
dead ringer for her, right?
That's her mom. Oh my God.
That's Thandie Newton's daughter. Yeah, absolutely splendid young actress. In this movie, I think this should be her breakout hit. And this is a movie that, it's a coming-of-age story that reminds me a lot of these kind of indie, Sundance-flavored indie dramas from like 20 years ago, like the movies that came after Juno and Napoleon Dynamite. There was like a wave of those kinds of movies with this very aesthetic. And look, this is a movie, those movies are always about like finding cute ways into heavy stories. You heard her talking about her brother being, hasn't spoken in years. Her brother suffers from brain cancer, is basically comatose. He's living out his dying days in care. And this is a movie about how that situation kind of paralyzes her as a teen, right? Where she can't live her life, she can't kind of grow. And, it's a really kind of like, it's a real direct heavyweight into that kind of conversation that's actually inspired by the filmmaker Laura Chin's own experience growing up. And there's a movie that it finds a comforting way into a difficult conversation where, it's asking for empathy for people who have to consider assisted dying. But again, leans on kind of the first time filmmaker tropes that you recognize from those movies from 20 years ago. Also has these incredibly powerful performances from, you saw Woody Harrelson as well, and Laura Linney, who was always like the secret weapon of those movies from 20 years ago.
Okay, so I, as always, want to see this movie. But who else should see this one?
Look, this is for people who love the movie Coda, which, that similarly syrupy coming-of-age story, which I still can't believe it won Best Picture at the Oscars. And also for the kids who love Never Have I Ever, I feel like this is a gateway drug into indie dramas for that generation of audience.
Okay, very cool. I cannot get over how much she looks like her mom.
Yeah,
like even like her mannerisms.
I had the same experience as you. I was just like, what's happening here? Is that, and I Googled, does Thandie Newton has kids? And sure enough.
That's her. That's her. Next up, Lisa Frankenstein. What's this one about?
Yes. So, speaking of Juno, Diablo Cody, the writer of Juno, has basically made a mood board for the 80s goth kid. And she's made this. This is basically a mashup of Edward Scissorhands and Heathers. It's a movie about this young girl named Lisa, played by the fabulous Catherine Newton, who we've had on this show before. She's a girl who wishes a Victorian-era corpse back to life, tries to, and it makes him her partner in a murder spree where they knock off people to take their appendages and add it to her Frankenstein monster. And look, this is a movie, that is wearing its influences on its sleeve. Those movies had more artistry, though. This movie feels very slapped together, feels more in love with its premise than its characters, and so just kind of, it's not alive.
Okay, it is not, the monster is not alive. So who's this one for?
This is for people who love movies like Jennifer's Body, which was, Diablo Cody's last attempt at teen horror, and also Freaky, which also starred Catherine Newton as a serial killer. And look, all likable movies have their likable bits.
Okay, last up, we only have like 30 seconds for this one. It's How to Have Sex. What do you think of this one?
I really like this. This is, ignore the salacious title. This is actually a movie that begs to be taken seriously. It's a Cannes Prize winner about young girls going on a sort of Euro version of Spring Break. And this is a movie that isn't so much telling a story, but experiencing this generation on a granular level, the tensions, the betrayals, the crossed boundaries, and the pain of all that. It's absolutely a must-see movie for people who are more into this art house take on the new generation.
Okay, so you are gonna see this movie.
I love this, yeah.
Who's this one for?
So think of, this is like for people who watch Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, and The Assistant, which are other kind of dramas, odysseys about young girls navigating oppressive, toxic cultures.
Okay, Rad, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.